goal and had plenty of chances to make it 3-2 and just couldn't do it. And, we've got to find ways to score goals. I mean, we've got to take advantage of our chances, and we've had chances. And it's frustrating. I think human nature kicks in. Once you start, playing a certain way and get chances, you don't score, all of a sudden I think you start doing things that you normally wouldn't do, and I thought that's what happened after they made it 2-0.
How much credit do you give their goaltender for making 44 saves?
Played great. He played well. Played really well. But you got to find ways to take advantage of your chances. And we just haven't done that. That's not just tonight. I think, throughout the season so far, we just haven't been able to be opportunistic.
So there you have it. I mean, basically saying it right there. I mean, the Rangers had 44 shots on goal last night, and they couldn't put the puck in the back of the net. Look, we know, and we're going to continue to say this until we're blue in the face, that this team is transitioning. They're rebuilding. They're trying to build something from the ground up, replenish the farm system, and just go from there. But the thing is that they don't have guys that can finish. They don't have guys that are going to put the puck in the back of the net. They don't have that anymore. They've gotten rid of guys like that, and they've also haven't had that for quite some time. So it's frustrating for sure, as you heard Coach Quinn talk about, where you have the chances and just not putting the puck in the back of the net, especially for some guys who have not been able to score as they continue on with the season. And things, as you mentioned, human nature starts kicking in, and you start doing things that you don't normally do to try to find yourself a goal, and then it becomes more stressful and more of that weight on your shoulders. I think it's pretty simple, where you have to look at it and say it's time to just go back to the basics and just go at it as best as you can. And so that's where they're going to have to go with it. They'll have an opportunity as we take a look at their upcoming schedule. They'll conclude their homestand tomorrow night when they take on the Florida Panthers, a team who has a ton of offensive power, but they have not been able to get going as well on this part of the season. So an opportunity for the Rangers to bounce back. You'd have to think that the Rangers are going to come out a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more hungry, because then after this, we're talking about a pretty big Western Conference West Coast trip coming up that starts on Thursday night. They're going to visit the Chicago Blackhawks, a team that certainly wants to rebound from last year. Then they'll go on that West Coast swing starting on Sunday. They'll take on the LA Kings at 3:30. They will then go to San Jose on Tuesday, the 30th, and take on the San Jose Sharks, a team that they beat back at the Garden just 2 weeks ago. And then they'll face the Anaheim Ducks on November the 1st before they come back home. So a big road trip coming up, and I think the Rangers would want to start that road trip on a positive note with getting a pretty big win against the Florida Panthers, and that all begins tomorrow night. Just an overall recap of where we stand at the pretty much, I guess, let's say the first month mark of the season, as the month is almost over, but we still have a few days left to go. But right now, as we take a look at the Eastern Conference in the Metropolitan Division, the Carolina Hurricanes sit in the number one spot at the Metropolitan at a 4-3-1 record, good for 9 points. The Devils behind them, 4-2-0 at 8 points. The Pittsburgh Penguins occupy the third spot at 3-1-2. That's good for 8 points. Followed by the Columbus Blue Jackets at 4-3-0, 8 points. The Washington Capitals, defending Stanley Cup champs, a little bit treading through some water right now, 3-2-2. The Flyers are 4-4 on the season. The Islanders are 3-4 with 6 points, and the Rangers, as mentioned, 2-5-1 with 5 points. That is, of course, the Metropolitan Division. Over to the Atlantic Division, the Toronto Maple Leafs sit in the number one spot, 6-3-0, good for 12 points. The Tampa Bay Lightning behind them at 5-1-1, good for 11 points. The Montreal Canadiens off to a good start, 4-1-2. That's good for 10 points. The fourth spot in the Atlantic belongs to the Boston Bruins at 4-2-2, good for 10 points. The Buffalo Sabres are 5-4-0 at 10 points. The Ottawa Senators 4-2-1 at 9 points. And then you got the Florida Panthers 1-2-3, followed by the Detroit Red Wings, who just have one win on their season as well. They are 1-5-2. Over into the Western Conference, you got the Anaheim Ducks in the Pacific Division in the number 1 spot, 5-3-1. That's good for 11 points. They got Calgary at number 2 and Vancouver at number 3, both teams with 10 points. San Jose sits in the 4th spot at 9 points. The Vegas Golden Knights trying to get their game and get their act together after a slow start, 4-4, 8 points on the season. Edmonton Oilers sit at 500 at 3-3 with 6 points, followed by the Kings with 5 points, and the Arizona Coyotes at 4 points. And finally, over to the Central Division, it's Nashville in the top spot, 7-1 on the season, good for 14 points, followed by the Colorado Avalanche, 5-1-2, good for 12 points. The Winnipeg Jets at 11 points in the 3rd spot. In the 4th spot, you got the Chicago Blackhawks with 10 points, the Minnesota Wild with 10 points, the Dallas Stars with 6, and the St. Louis Blues with 6 points as well, and that wraps up the Central Division. Well, that'll do it for the New York Hockey Report. So we will see you next time. I am Joe Soccoa, and have a good day.